President Biden is throwing shade at House Republicans for leaving Washington without reaching a deal to fund the government. He posted on social media, and I quote, "Last time there was a government shutdown, 800,000 Americans were furloughed or worked without pay. But enjoy your weekend." Even some Republicans are fed up with the deep dysfunction within their party that could lead us to a government shutdown in just a week.
It's an unmitigated disaster right now on the majority side.
This is stupidity. The idea that we're going to shut the government down when we don't control the Senate, we don't control the White House. These people can't define a win. They don't know how to take yes for an answer. It's a clown show. You keep running lunatics, you're going to be in this position.
I'm disappointed. I am pissed off.
The shutting of the government down, everyone loses. That's mutually assured destruction.
We're dysfunctional. It's just that simple. That's simple. We are so dysfunctional.
Clown show, lunatics. Joining me now, Jamie Harrison, chairman of the Democratic National Committee. Chairman Harrison, welcome back to the show. This might be one of the few times in recorded history that you and some congressional Republicans are on the same page. What do you make of what's going on in the House?
Well, listen, that old saying that even broken clocks are right twice a day, that's the Republican Party. And they're doing my job for me. Weak, clown show, lunatics, dysfunctional. I really do believe, Jonathan, that, and this is not me being partisan because I'm including Democratic speakers of the House and Republican speakers of the House. I believe that history will show that Kevin McCarthy is the most inept Speaker of the House in my lifetime. I've never seen the dysfunction, and I worked on the floor of the House. You know, my job was to count the votes. I know what I'm talking about. I've never seen anything like it. And he's weak and he's feckless. I think he just wants a portrait in the speaker's gallery, but I don't think there's a speaker in name-only gallery. So, you know, they're going to give him one, but this guy is pathetic.
So then how should Democrats respond to the chaos? Should they come to his rescue?
No, what I think they should do is find enough, and I know it's going to be hard to do, common sense Republicans who can come up with a discharge petition or do something to bring the Senate CR to the floor, have a vote, and let's fund this government. Because McCarthy is inept, and he can't do it.
So I noticed you said Senate CR. So you're anticipating that nothing's going to happen in the House, that it's going to be the Senate that's going to have to generate the continuing resolution.
I believe that that's what it has to happen. You know, there are so many little gimmicks that you can do and play. I'm sure that there are House bills over there that the Senate can gut. We used to call it ping-ponging, and ping-pong the bill right back over to the House, and then hopefully have the members, the Democratic members and a few select Republicans try to find a way to bring it to the floor, because McCarthy can't do it. Yeah, Gates even said that it's not the fault of the Democrats for a government shutdown. It's Kevin McCarthy's fault for a government shutdown.
And that's Congressman Gates.
Gates.
All right. On top of the looming government shutdown, they're still planning on having an impeachment inquiry into President Biden, a baseless impeachment inquiry, because there's no evidence whatsoever. Senate Republicans seem to be focused on a dress code, but we're just going to leave that over there. And that's actually, you know, Senator Schumer who did that. But let's go to the impeachment inquiry. Why? What does it say to the American people that they would rather spend time on a baseless impeachment inquiry than on coming up with a solution to keep the government open?
They, you know, as we say in the South, Jonathan, bless their hearts, because they just don't have a policy agenda. They don't want to do anything in order to improve the lives of the American people. And there are going to be dire consequences for a government shutdown. You know, they talk about the border all the time. Well, guess what? When you shut down the government, Border Patrol officers aren't on the border anymore. So we're not getting fentanyl and all of the other things that they say are such a major issue. It also means Meals on Wheels, WIC, Medicaid. So many of these programs that help the least of these in our society will fall apart, will go away. And so there are going to be dire consequences. Nancy Mace from South Carolina was on TV the other day and said, oh, I saw some federal employee and they're looking forward to the vacation. Nobody's looking forward to a vacation. Stop. I don't know what imaginary person you're seeing in the bathroom on Congress, but I can tell you all of the federal employees that I know who've gone through federal shutdowns aren't looking forward to them. They're looking forward, to Congress getting together to do what is necessary to move this country forward.
Let's switch gears here, because over the last week we've had just seen a lot, and I mean a lot, of Democratic bedwetting about the president and support and everything. And yet there's been some good news here. One, I'm going to get to there's two of them. Yeah. Both involve New Hampshire. Democrats won a special election in New Hampshire where Democrat Hal Rafter won his election to fill a Republican-held seat in the state house. What can we learn from that?
Well, Jonathan, that seat went for Donald Trump by 6 points. The Democrat just flipped that seat by 12.
Oh.
By 12. If you look at the special elections that have happened over the past few years, and look at places like Wisconsin, the Supreme Court race there, you look at what happened in Ohio in terms of the ballot measure, Democrats are overperforming our partisan lean in those elections. And so I know polls are important for a lot of folks, but the most important poll is what happens at the ballot box. And time again, Democrats are hashtag winning.
The other thing that happened in New Hampshire is a poll out from CNN of New Hampshire voters shows strong support for President Biden. He's above 50% over Donald Trump. Can we trust that poll?
Well, listen, I chat with the chair of the New Hampshire Democratic Party quite often, Ray Buckley, who's a dear friend, mentor. And Ray tells me, the president has strong support here in New Hampshire. And he sees it on the ground. And that's really important. And, I've been going all around this country. There's an energy. You've seen the pictures of the vice president on the campuses of these colleges and universities. When people say, I don't know where the energy is supporting our vice president, these are long lines wrapping around buildings, and the students are hyped. They are fired up. And so there's a lot of energy on the ground. I'm excited about it. And I think in the end of the day, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to do what they did in 2020. They're going to bring out a record number of people to support their agenda, which is based on delivering for the American people.
I mean, there's enthusiasm when the marching band shows
yes.
at the rally. All right, so Chairman Harris, the president's traveling to Michigan on Tuesday. He says he's going to walk the picket line and stand in solidarity with the auto workers. That's a day before Donald Trump is expected to be in the state and hold a rally in Michigan, in Detroit, part of our counter-programming because he's not showing up at the Republican debate. How do you think that this strike and all the other union strikes happening across the country will impact the 2024 race?
Well, I think the Republicans know it. Nikki Haley has been saying it. Tim Scott has been saying it. Joe Biden is the most pro-union president that we've ever had. And from day one, he has been fighting for working people in this country, and particularly the members of unions. Remember, in the American Rescue Plan, he actually put in money to save the pensions for some unions that were going under. And he's been working on that time and time again. So when he goes out to Michigan, this isn't performance, this ain't antics. This is a guy who believes it to the core of who he is. Former President Trump, all of this is just window dressing. This guy has never done anything for anybody. Remember he said we were going to have the infrastructure week every week? Mm-hmm. Well, for 4 years, it never filled a pothole. But Joe Biden got it done in the first year. And not only did he get it done, but he created jobs that were good union, good-paying jobs. And so, again, it's about showing and not telling. Donald Trump does a good job of telling. Joe Biden delivers, and he shows every time.
And with that, we're going to have to leave it there. Chairman of the Democratic National Committee, Jamie Harrison, thank you very much for coming to the Saturday show.